Hi, this is Debbie Sue at Debbie Sue Creates, and I'm making a new project for kind of a mat for or table runner for my mother-in-law's desk, and it's going to be I've got 5-inch squares, so I have these pine cone ones, and then the Christmas tree truck kind that are right here, and I'm just gonna do like 4 patches. I'm gonna do alternating, so the light and dark, and then I'm gonna do a dark and a light. I can open it up here. Dark and light. And I'm just gonna sew these alternating, and then I'll assemble them together. And I'm just using a 1/4-inch seam. So I'm going to get another set, and I'll put the light one on the bottom and the dark one on top. Flip it over so they're right size facing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, I have all of my 5-inch squares sewn together in my chain sewing, and you can kind of see how they're matching up like this, where they're alternating. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut these into sections of 4. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this section, the thread, and then I'll do the same to all the others. So there's a 2 of them. And this makes it really easy. So I'll go ahead and I'll cut the other ones. But this makes it easy to do the next step, which I'm going to, there I have. I kind of made it so the trucks are kind of facing up. They're sort of directional, but not really. But I just tried to at least have one truck that was kind of facing up. And what I'm going to do is fold these over. And if you want to iron, you could, but I'm not going to. I don't think you really need to. I'm going to go ahead and nest these seams together right there. And I might pin it though, just because. Let's see if I can get it nested really good. That way my seams are perfect, or as perfect as I can get them. I'm going to go ahead and just pin it a little bit. Maybe pin it right there in the center. And then come down. One more pin. This is just a little quick project. I wanted to do something nice for my mother-in-law and surprise her. I didn't want to do something that's going to take a long time. So she has a little Christmassy kind of placemat table runner thing for her desk that she sits at. She's in a wheelchair, so she kind of sits there a lot during the day and does projects and works on things. So I thought this would be a nice little surprise for her. Okay, I'm going to take these out. I'm going to mainly show you this one just so that you can kind of see what I'm doing. And I'm going to do hers with 8 of these 4 patches. So this is what it looks like now. You can see it, and you can kind of see that it comes together pretty good. The center corners are in there pretty good. And I'm going to do like one of these 4 patches and then another one. So it'll be 2 deep and then 2 deep and then 4 wide. So the one that I did, I needed, not sure how many things I did, but you need 4 squares for each block. So depending on how big you want to make it, you could even just make one just like this and then put a backing on it and just have like a little placemat, like a little coffee mug rug thing. And then you have a quick project, other than maybe putting some batting and the backing on it. But let me go ahead and sew my other pieces, and then I'll show you the next step on this. All right, so I've got them all sewn together, and when I was doing the rest of them, I went ahead and chain pieced them. So I matched them together, and then I just chain pieced all of them. So now, go ahead and cut these. And we'll be able to do the next step. Hope everybody's having a good holiday season. I'm kind of late doing Christmas stuff, so that's why I wanted to do something easy. And I had I actually got an AccuQuilt, and I cut some fabric in 5-inch squares with that, so because I wanted to try that out. Normally I would do my other technique of doing the maybe the 10-inch squares, and then I have a video on that makes it pretty easy also, but I wanted to try out my new AccuQuilt. So got all of these, and what I'm going to do next is I'll probably chain piece these, possibly. I want to make sure I do it in the right order. So because each one is exactly the same, it's a light, a dark, a light, light, a dark, a dark, a light. So when you put them next to each other, it will alternate, and it'll be alternated perfectly. If you put it down below, alternates perfectly. So you can make each square the same as far as being, you know, like they're all the same, but when you put them next to each other, it alternates. So I'm going to do them 2 deep. So what I'll do is, I think I'm going to, I'm probably not going to chain piece. I'm going to do these 2 to this, and I'll go ahead and nest these. And like I said, you can iron if you'd like to. I'm just doing the, like the light to the dark side and the dark to the light side. So they're nested right there. You want to just really make sure that that seam is perfect, because those are where the seams are going to line up. The edge parts aren't as big of a deal because they can be made up with a seam allowance. So I just want to make sure that we get that center part good. And put a pin here. On the end. And one on the other end. And you can use as many pins as you like that, that make you feel comfortable. You could always add an extra pin in there if you want to. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew this one, a 1/4 inch seam. I don't think I'm going to chain piece it because I want to make sure that I'm doing it the way you probably could. I just, being as this is my first time doing this one, I want to make sure I do it right. Make sure that my trucks are going the way I want them to go. So I've got that section, and what I could do is I'll go ahead and just add the next section. So my truck's going like this, and oh yeah, I'm going to just do another section. So I've got this one and this one. Technically, as long as my trucks are going the right way, it should be fine. So I like that. Is that what I'm doing? Yep. Okay, I'm going to fold that over and then line up those seams again. So I've got them nested. And you can kind of feel it as you're going. You'll feel that the seams kind of fit right together. You don't want to have a gap. Okay, so that we'll do one here and one at the other end. Go down a little bit so I have room for my machine. Okay. Okay, there's that one. All right, so now I've got two, and I'm going to make, let's see, I've got two. I think it's going to be 4 wide. So sew my other ones together in like these, but the next step after that would be to take these and sew them together. So you're gonna line it up, and I would go to the center one and get that one lined up first, and then pin it, and then kind of move outward from there. And make sure that all these seams are nested. And then just one on the edge. And we're going to go to the other side, and we'll nest these. So make sure they're nested. Pin it. It's important that they're nested so that it makes your intersections look good, and that's kind of where the eye is drawn. So as long as you can get those good, then everything else looks good. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do this. Okay, see how that worked. Hopefully it came out good. Okay, we'll open that up. See how everything's coming together. You could do the same thing I'm doing here and make it as big or small as you wanted to. You could take like maybe something this size and then you could turn it into a pillow cover, or you could iron it out. You could put it like in a picture frame, maybe like if you had a picture frame or something, or you could make it as big as a king size blanket. I mean, you could go as small or as big as you want. You could just do 4. You could do something like this size. You could make a tablecloth for like a bigger dining room table if you wanted something nice. Once you have it all sewn together, my next step is I'm going to add a backing. So I will get it all sewn together and then I will show you how to make the backing. Nice. Okay, so I have it all sewn together and I'm going to iron it on the back. I was noticing that I think when you're sewing it, if you, all the seams, I want to kind of have the seams open so that it'll lie a little flatter, but you get some of these where, like this one's okay, but this one right here, this one's going this way and this one's going this way. So when I open up these seams, it won't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim, just snip over here, but not cutting any thread. So just a little snip, but don't go to this thread. Just be really careful. So that way I can open this up and lay it flat. And iron it. I'm not going to necessarily do snip it on all of them. Just like if I need to. This part is fine, it's going to lay flat. I kind of just want like these intersections on the bigger ones to lay flat. This will be okay. And you don't even have to really do this. I'm just kind of doing it to make it easier for when I do the quilt lines on it, because I want to make some quilt lines. See, like this one goes this way and this one goes this way. So this one I'm just gonna flip it just a little bit right there. And then I could either, and this one's sewn together, so I'm just gonna lay it flat. When you're sewing the squares together, you could try to sew with the seams open. That would probably prevent this. Like I said, this is my first time making this project, so it's a little bit trial and error. But I did want to show you that this is kind of the problem that I'm coming across, and be honest with you instead of just saying, oh, everything went good. It's mainly these long seams right here that I wanted to have open. So if the other ones will lay the same direction, I'm just laying them flat. You could do the same thing and just snip everything and then have everything be open. But I'm trying to cut as least as possible to potentially avoid cutting too far into the fabric, and then that would not be good. So. This one, I'm gonna go this way. And that's one where I kind of trimmed it a little bit. Oops. Maybe I'll just go just a tiny bit more. Get this open. I'm trying to get this done. My husband and my mother-in-law went out to go do something, so I'm working on this while they're not here, out in the kitchen area, so I can iron it. And also, this is kind of the area where I will cut fabric, cut and iron and stuff like that. I could make room in my craft room, but I haven't done that yet. So. Okay, looks pretty good. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I need to get, I'm going to go ahead and unplug this iron. And move it away from me so I don't burn myself. That's Mongo. He's guarding the house. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to get my backing fabric, and I'm going to use this fabric right here. Actually, I should have left the iron on because I need to iron this. But what I'm going to do is cut a piece of fabric that is the size of my backing, and I am going to make the backing a little bit bigger, and then I'll trim it down, and I'm going to use the backing to come over the front and make a border, like a binding. So let me see what we need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this up, and what I do with large pieces of fabric, for me, this is the easiest thing so that everything is straight, is I go ahead and I cut a little piece on the end where the way the grain is so that I can tear it, and then I just tear down the length, and then that way I get a straight edge. Put this somewhere. I know there's probably people do this differently, but for me, especially with a really big piece of fabric, this is the easiest way to do it. Because I don't have a giant cutting table. And then I will find, so like if I'm looking at my fabric, hopefully this is going to be long enough. Yep, it'll be long enough. Perfect, okay. So now I need to know the width. So what I do is I lay it down along my torn edge, which is right there. And I give myself some room because I want to be able to, once it's done, I'm gonna like turn it over and then turn it over again and make a border. So I want to have enough room. And go down to the other side and do about the same. Once it's cut down smaller, I can always trim it, but I just want to give myself some room. So just cut it about that much, and then I will just tear that part. Something satisfying about doing that. It might make other people crazy, I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and iron this piece. I'm trying to think if I want to put a batting in it or if she's gonna need batting. I feel like I want to do batting. So let me find some batting, and I will go ahead and iron this, the red piece of fabric, and I'll get some batting. The batting I'm going to cut just slightly bigger than this, so that what I'm going to do is I'm going to quilt it by just quilting in the ditch along, you know, like around each square basically. So I'll just quilt down each row, and then I'll quilt going this way on all of them. And by doing that, if you have a little bit extra batting, when you're quilting it, it might the batting might shrink a little bit. So you want to make sure that you have enough batting under there. It's going to be smaller than the red piece, but bigger than this patchwork piece. And then once it's all quilted, I'll go around the edges and make sure to trim any excess batting, and then I'll do the border. So let me go ahead and get those pieces ready, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, I have my layers cut out now, and went ahead and pinned each square. And I'll trim it after I get it quilted. Just kind of wanted to show you what I have here. And you can kind of see I gave a little bit of extra on the batting. But it's such cute fabric. I love it. My husband actually picked it out, and I think my mother-in-law will love this. So I'm going to go ahead and I have this red thread. I have to rethread my machine and my bobbin, and then so the back's going to just be red. So the next step will be at the machine once I get it rethreaded. Okay, the machine is all threaded, and actually I didn't push play, so I have sewn half of it already. I did the one side over here, but I'm going to show you, I have it on record now, so I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I did, whoops, I threaded my machine and put it with red thread and a red bobbin. And then I did change the foot to this foot right here. This foot has a little area where you can do like stitch in the ditch. It's really nice, and it helps me to sew a little straighter when I'm sewing in the ditch. So I'm going to use that foot. I tried just using the regular foot, and it didn't work as well. So let me put that back on. There we go. Okay. So here we go. The only thing is that when you do use this one, it the little thing that it goes down, it does try to catch on stuff sometimes. So maybe slow, sew a little slower. And I'm going to take my quilt here and roll it up so it's rolled up over on my right hand side. And then I'm just going to stitch along the ditch here. And I'm going a little slower than I normally go just because of this foot that I have on there. Okay. So, sewing along the edge there. And then I recommend that you use safety pins instead of regular pins because they poke you, but I couldn't find mine. So I'm using just regular pens, but I definitely recommend safety pins. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish. I've done a little over half of it, and then you can kind of see on the back what it's looking like with the lines here, and the red that I'm using, it just blends in perfectly. So let me finish. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest going this way, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, I'm taking all these pins out. Okay, so the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to sew the other way, which is the long way. And I'm going to go ahead and start in the center. And then I'm just going to go ahead and sew down this, just like the other ones, but going the other way. Just guide your fabric through. As the machine pulls it. Alright, okay, so then I'm going to work, so I just have to do 2 more times, so one on this side, one on that side. I'm not going to do anything on the edges yet, so we'll go ahead and do these. We'll be getting close to being done. Last one. I'm going to turn it around so that I have less underneath the machine. Just flip it over. Okay. Okay. So we got it all sewn, and it wasn't that hard. The back looks really nice now. It's kind of, just put it up right here so you can kind of see. Well, I can't do it. Let's take that foot off. That foot likes to grab stuff. Okay, just so you can kind of see how now it's kind of like a checkerboard thing on the back. Looks very nice. And all the way down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to my other table, and we're going to trim it down, and I will show you that next up. So I'm going to go ahead and trim the quilt, and I've already trimmed off the excess batting, and I decided I'm going to do 1.5 inches of the backing all around. So I'm just going to line it up and do that so that I can make my border. Let's see. And the reason I'm doing 1.5 inches is sometimes people do like a 2.5 inch border to do their binding, but I've also seen doing a 3-inch border, so I'm kind of doing that. So half of a 3-inch would be 1.5 inch. Hopefully that will work good. Do the last part. Okay. So the next part I'm going to be at the sewing machine. Well, I'll meet you at the machine, and I will. Let me decide what I'm going to do on these corners to see how I'm gonna miter them. Okay, so I've decided to do the corners. I am going to take the corner and fold it in until the point is like right up to the edge. I'm just going to pin that there. And then I'm going to fold this in and then fold it in one more time. And then that will kind of make my corner. I'm just going to go along the whole edge and fold it in. I'm going to do the same thing on this end. Take that corner, fold it in, just to where that point reaches it. And we'll go to this side and do the same thing. So it makes that nice mitered edge that comes together. This corner, do the same thing, fold it in. Until it meets right there at that point. Fold it in. Let's see, that one actually, I just need to pull that in a little bit, I think. I'm going to make sure that that's just a little bit more in. That goes like that. For some reason this one's fighting me a little bit. This corner. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and pin that one. Put it in like that. Okay. Okay. This last corner. this corner. All right, I have it all pinned, and I'm going to go ahead and sew it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sew it fairly close to the edge here, so probably like 1/4 of an inch in from the quilted fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my needle, the outside of it, with the edge of my binding. So that part, I'm just going to try to run it along there. So hopefully it'll be even. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit more in. A little bit more. Okay. That way my foot is kind of lined up with that again. see. Some little threads that are there. So on the corners, you could run your sew it over this also if you wanted to, or you could hand sew these little parts right there. That one didn't come out as good, but they are mitered. I think if I just, personally, I like to hand sew, so I'm just going to hand sew these little edges just together so that they're closed 100%, but they don't have to be. They're fine just the way they are, really. But that is what it looks like. There's the other side. I will try to get a picture of this on her desk so that you can see what it looks like when I have it all laid out over there. All right, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.